Hi friends, Wizdy here, welcome to a new Raid Shadow Legends video. Have you tried to build a budget unkillable team and got very frustrated because you cannot make the stun target work? If you're facing this issue, this is the video for you. We'll talk about stun target, how to build it and how to make it work without fail on all affinities. I was a little bit hesitant to make this video because it's an educational one, so it takes a lot of effort to plan for it and record it. But the other thing is that the amount of players needing the budget unkillable comp nowadays and the length of time that they need this budget unkillable comp for maybe makes it not as important for the community to talk about stun target in detail. But then I thought that all of the videos that I'm seeing about the budget unkillable comp, they are all talking about the comp itself, tuning the speeds, how the right champs for it and all of that stuff. But there was no video talking specifically about the stun target, and it's one of the most frustrating or complex things to build. So though you'll need it for a short time till you get a better comp going with gear and champions, but still it's important, so I wanted to tell you how you can build it. And I had my headphones on for a reason, but they are gone now. So what we're talking about here, budget unkillable teams like the one that we see running on the screen here, it's when you have only a single man-eater and painkeeper, but you don't have other unkillable champions, to build one of the other comps that will give you higher damage basically and will make you unkillable all the time. Why do they call it budget? Because we'll see it here in a sec. At a point in time, during the single target hit from the clan boss, which is each third hit, all of your champions will be without the unkillable buff, except for a single champion, like what we just saw here on the screen. And you want to build the team so that the clan boss only targets that single champion that does still have the unkillable buff on them, being too slow so it won't wear off. So the clan boss won't kill anyone else of the team and you can survive those 50 turns and do enough damage to get the top chests on Ultra Nightmare and Nightmare. What is the problem with budget unkillable teams? Because you're building them early on when your gear level, which we'll see here exactly, I'll show you the results of this specific team. It's not good enough unless you put your best gear on the champion there to 1 key Nightmare. What you want from an unkillable team is to give you this gate into Ultra Nightmare clan boss. So you can at least 3 key Ultra Nightmare and 1 key Nightmare. If you're not doing this amount of damage, then a non-unkillable team, a regular team, just building them tanky with counter attack or a life protect or all of that stuff, YST got some crazy good videos on the subject, might be better for you, might give you some better results. But we're here today to talk about building the stun target. So getting the speeds right is easier. You just build the speeds based on DeadwoodJedi. I'll put the link in the description below of that ultimate budget unkillable team, the only budget unkillable team that you should follow there. So getting champions with the right speed. So as we're seeing here, the unkillable buff is on everyone. One of the champions is way slower, 129 speed, so they will maintain that unkillable buff and the clan boss will target them and all of that stuff. Second factor here is the affinity. The affinity plays an important role. I built a budget unkillable team on my alt account way back. I still have that video on the channel where I used all void champions so that when the clan boss switches affinity, it won't affect the stun target targeting like what we're seeing here. Because unless you use all champions of the same affinity, which is void, or all the 3 champions other than man-eater and painkeeper of the same affinity, and this is what I'm doing here, so the comp will work on all affinities, and you'll need to build multiple champions with different affinities for when the clan boss switches affinity. Or plan with your clan, like please guys don't make the clan boss drop below 50% because my comp works only on void, for example. You'll figure out the affinity piece, which I talked about in previous budget unkillable teams, and DeadwoodJedi got some good videos on this and other content creators as well. But the remaining factor here, which is what we're dedicating this video to, is how to make that HP defense ratio so that the clan boss will always target this champion all the way up to 50 turns. As we're seeing here, this team is weaker than 1 key Nightmare. That's Nightmare that we're on, but we'll talk about it here. So let's bring DeadwoodJedi's notes on this, what he tells us to do, and then I'll try to make it simpler and put some numbers there for you so that you won't struggle with percentages and waste a lot of silver and possibly gems regearing champions and trying keys. This is the ultimate budget unkillable team. I'll put this link in the description below. Huge shout out to DeadwoodJedi. The game won't be the same without him and his website. Hope you're doing well, my friend. So, and this is the speeds and everything, so I won't go through this in detail, but let's go down to, let's try to find it, the stun target here. I made it a bit bigger, but I'll show you in game like the exact numbers and everything. So what are the principles here? The whole trick into making the clan boss always target this champion when everyone else doesn't have the unkillable buff is to make the clan boss think that they can kill this champion, making it look weaker. How do you do that? By adding a specific HP to defense percentage. This might sound complex, but we're here to make it easier for you. I'll give you exact numbers for this or ranges. So what DeadwoodJedi is saying here is that the HP of the stun target should be the highest on the team, but more than 125% of Painkeeper's HP. Why is that? So having this champion as the highest HP in the team, that's easy. If you have everyone else, like if this champion got 50k HP, then everyone else should have less than 50k. That's easy to understand. Painkeeper, which should be the second highest in the team, shouldn't be like more than like the champion shouldn't be 125%. So if we're talking about examples here, the example that he gives is Painkeeper got 40k HP. This champion need to be between 41 and 50k. That doesn't always work this way. What I would recommend is just having at least 3-4k, not more than this, HP ratio wise. Otherwise, the other champions will struggle. How this works, or why is it linked to Painkeeper's HP? Because Painkeeper with her A2 heals everyone. What do you want from this is for Painkeeper to heal everyone who got less HP with a higher percentage of healing. So after this heal, the A2, which will come directly before the clan boss single target hit, you want everyone to have, like, let's say 70% of HP restored from Painkeeper who got higher HP than them, except for the stun target who got higher HP than Painkeeper, so she'll only heal them for like 40%. So everyone else in the clan boss's eyes will have 70 to 80% HP. They will be healthier relatively than our stun target who got just a small percentage of their HP. So they will look weaker. They will look more killable to the clan boss. The other factor here is the defense. Now the defense is tricky. I'll tell you why when we jump in game to compare like champions' defenses and everything. This champion should have way lower defense than everyone else. 200 or 300 will not be enough. That's why it's hard to build a stun target, because when we're choosing champions, the difference in defense and the defense that you'll get by default from some pieces of gear that you'll put on those champions might make it difficult to have that big defense gap that guarantees that the clan boss will always target this champion. But this defense gap cannot be 200 or 300. This defense gap needs to be over 500. As much as you can make this gap big, that would require a lot of gearing and regearing. For example, right now in game, the game gave us 2 weeks of free gear removal. So this is a perfect time if you want to build a budget unkillable team to gear and regear using Hell Hades Optimizer till you get to that golden ratio. And we'll jump in game and show exactly what we mean by this, what will work, what will not work, and all of that. Last thing, which is Affinity, and that's why I recommend that all of your 3 champions, other than Man-Eater and Painkeeper, they all should be of the same affinity, so you don't have to build multiple stun targets or DPS or damage dealing champions. So, weak affinity here will be the same for those 3 champions. They can either be all void, or the 3 champions should be all spirit or all force or whatever. The important thing is that to make them all look equal from an affinity perspective to the clan boss when it's not void. So let's quickly repeat those rules before we make them even simpler by jumping in game. So, highest HP in the team, not more than 125% of Painkeeper's HP. So HP wise in the team, it should be the stun target, then Painkeeper, then everyone else way lower than these 2. Lowest defense in the team by far. And we'll see it in game right now. Probably that run is done now. Yeah, 30 million. That's the average for this team. which is not good enough. I was just throwing champions in there just to record the video and make it work for you. And by the way, this account we're giving away in less than 10 subs. Whenever we hit 2200 subs, I have a separate video, the link in the description below, where we're giving away this account. It has very good champions here. It got Thor, I got lucky with, like, look here, Elva, Queen of Hearts, I haven't built them yet, and of course we have Alice. We have lots of good Legos. We have Lady Kimmy, we have Arbiter, of course, here, Cold Heart, Turagi, Geomancer. I got lucky with the He-Man on this account. Look at this. And I went for Fabian. Fabian was my last fusion that I've done on this account, but you got a lot of great champions this account. Just get us to 2200 subs, less than 10 subs away, and then I'll do the giveaway on the other video. I'll link it in the description below. If you want it, you still have a chance to get this account. But let me now go to our most recently used champions just to examine the stats here. So if we look, for example, so the only thing important about Man-Eater is his speed, but if you can give him 100% crit rate, some attack and other stats, make him hit harder so he can participate in the damage. And if you're early to mid game, of course getting to this speed is not easy, but it's worth it to give you that boost in Clan Boss. Then look at this, he got almost 2.8k defense and 30k HP, so that's a number here. Let's now go to our stun target, because that's where we'll start. How much HP does Thalicia have here? Over 55k HP. And defense, 1.7k defense. Now let's look at Painkeeper, who is the second champion here. By the way, I fully geared Thalicia here, who is my stun target. In most cases, you'll have to remove a couple of pieces of gear to get to the right stats. But I managed to get it like this. So speed-wise, it's okay. Look here, this gap is still lower than I would like it to be. So Painkeeper got 2.1k defense. I would like this to be over 2200, but the gear and silver was limiting me on this. And 50k HP, so 55k HP versus 50k on Painkeeper. We just shown that Man-Eater got 30k HP. If we look at Geomancer, 2.7k defense, this gap is great. And then 25k HP, very low. Yes, I like it there. And then Othar, our last DPS, 30k HP, 2.6k defense, almost 2.7. So these gaps are good. You'll only struggle with Painkeeper, between Painkeeper and the stun target, which is usually the case. If you messed up this ratio, the Clan Boss targets Painkeeper instead of the stun target. So if you can give her at least 500 or more defense gap, that would be perfect. This limits us greatly when choosing the stun target. The perfect stun target from a champ criteria is a rare attack-based champion of the same affinity like the other two. I'll put it on the screen. Rare attack-based. Why? Because usually this type of champion got the lowest defense. What will you struggle with? The problem with attack-based champions is that they also got super low HP, not only defense, especially if they are a rare. So it will be very hard for you to boost their HP stats to get to that highest ratio of the team. That's why I, for example, chose Thalicia. Thalicia is an epic with only 1k defense, for example. We'll notice here, for example, that Painkeeper, and that's why I struggled. Painkeeper got less than 800 defense opposed to the 1000 base for Thalicia. So I struggled to give her more defense to make that defense gap. But also if you notice here, Thalicia's HP base is only 12.7% versus almost 19k for a rare, which is Painkeeper. So boosting Thalicia's HP to become the most in the team wasn't that easy, and that's what you'll struggle with. For example, another perfect candidate that I was trying to make work. Where is my Ruan now? Here she is, and I couldn't make it work. But if you notice here, Ruan was one of the perfect attack-based examples that I wanted to use, but Affinity was an issue. Like I said, she got less than 700 defense. This is amazing, and it's not common to have an epic champion with such low defense. Usually low defense everywhere else in the game is bad, because even on attack-based champions, you want them to have some tankiness, some survivability, so they won't die every time someone looks at them. But here in the Clan Boss, having a very low defense is very useful, and 17k HP is a good base to start building that gap. Whatever HP that you will give to the stun target, 45k, 50k, this is completely dependent on your gear. Try to make the difference or the gap between this HP and Painkeeper's HP 3 to 4k, not more than this. When you're trying to build them, probably you'll easily get past 40k HK. Defense-wise, try to have at least 400 plus gap between the stun target and everyone else. He should be the lowest. The stun target should be the lowest defense. So if you're having an average between, like, let's say 1800 to 2000 defense on everyone else, the stun target should be in 1300, 1400 range. This gap cannot be lower than 400, otherwise you'll struggle a little bit in the targeting. But if you follow these 3 simple rules, affinity, HP and defense gap, you can build your stun target. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below or join my Discord. I'd be happy to guide you on how to build your stun target based on your specific champions. I can give you choices and all of that. I hope this one was helpful to you. Thank you for stopping by as always, and I'll see you in the next one.